You're hearing rumors about me and can't stomach the thought of someone touching my body when you're so close to my heart. Woo. I mean, he wrote it. He wrote a banger, and I felt like it is a part of this reoccurring theme. It would be Ghost. It's called The Ghost of Pods Past, episode 9, season 9. Love is blind, and let's get into it. So I'm the Dad Panther. Hit the subscribe button, like, follow, and comment for more. It is a loaded potato on today's recap or unpacking or review. I don't know what to call this. As you know, us, I'm messing with the idea of talking about reality shows. So we'll probably be talking about different shows as the new year continues, but or we get into the new year. But anywho, the episode is titled Ghost of Pods Past. Now, I don't look at the title of this show in general. Like, I don't look at it until I'm prepping my notes for the episode. So as soon as it finishes, I come over here and start writing. Then I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So that's been interesting. So we'll go with the first couple, and also say this, that I thought this episode was a 1 or a 2. Okay, it just wasn't doing anything for me, and I'm just saying that because obviously the rating is going to change. So normally at the end we'll do the ratings, but right now I'm just letting you know early on, maybe halfway through I was like, it's a slow episode. That's fine. I'm not here to see the chaos, but there's just not much going on here. So I'm gonna tell you where I'm at, and then we're gonna go do-si-do rodeo, if you know what I mean. So we'll talk Meg and Jordan, aka Sparkles, which is crazy that they call her or she, the Sparkle thing. I feel like the producers took all this information and said, you need to lead with Sparkles. Because by her saying Sparkles, even if that is her thing, like there's some people who just love to bedazzle the hell out of something, or there's just something about it. And for us, for a collective, a lot of us took it in a negative way. Like, how dare this person call themselves Sparkle and then tell you what their nickname is or what people call them. Which I don't see it as anything bad, but everyone's taking it like she was talking to herself in the third person. I don't know. I was like, hey, what am I gonna do? Well, Sparkle's gonna get herself a lemonade. Speaking of lemonade, so we saw Jordan take frozen chicken, or he took chicken, cooked it, froze it, thaws it out, puts it in a blender with some Crystal Light, not sponsored at all. Some Crystal Light, some water, blends it up and drinks it. Then he tried to give it to her. Now, there's times where I do make a concoction, you know what I'm saying, a little some of my own. And I'm like, hey, wife, try this. Tell me how it tastes. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Like, it's day to day. It is what it is. But I just thought it was so messed up because the whole time I was like, this looks horrible. The chicken looked completely, I'm not saying season the chicken, because clearly him putting it in with the Crystal Light, you don't want it, but it just like, he's like, I don't know. I just was like, man, get a protein shake, get a power bar, get some rice, beans, some plantanitos, and just do it, do what you got to do. But it is what it is. I got a dad bod, a different kind of dad bod, so I can't put my opinion in there. Then you had Sparkles with an $$ symbol. Like if she was a wrestler, she's coming out against the man, Becky Lynch. She's like, listen here, I'm Sparkles. You don't got the bankroll that I have, because must be the money. They're looking for houses. Now, we already knew that she had a house in California. Now, if you're familiar with real estate, think about Edmond. We'll get to him later. But if you're familiar with real estate, you know that if you own any property in California, chances are you're rich to all the other states, right? And so they're gonna go look for a house, and the realtor it's Sparkle's realtor. I need to start calling her Meghan, but anyways, and what ends up happening is the realtor says, how much are we looking to play with? Which we normally see on any show when it comes to flipping it or buying it or love it or sell it, whatever those shows are called, which also made me think, why doesn't, and maybe they do, let me know in the comments, why doesn't Netflix have a show that does the home buying experience? Like, find a kind of way to do it differently, whether you take people from this show. That would actually be a nice little thing. Like, before the reunion, you get some members whether past or present, for Love is Blind and some of these other reality shows, and you have them go out and pick out their home, or you mix that with picking out their home and showing off like a Pimp My Ride or MTV Cribs kind of vibe thing, whatever. Anyways, she said millions is what she's looking for. I think she was like a $1 or $2 million was her budget. And the reaction that Jordan had, which was like, damn, like he's like, I just wanted a room, 3 rooms is what I was looking for, 1,800 square feet, Florida style. Like he was like, not much he was looking for. And it made sense for their situation. And she's like, no. And the house they're looking at was like almost 5,000 square feet. And it was ridiculous. So that's interesting, but it's also going to probably be a dynamic later, even if we don't get to see it, because like, and I'm not trying to be, I think it'll be interesting because she wants that security. She wants that guy to be, I guess, traditional to her, or at least check the boxes. And for him not to be able to contribute financially in that sense, I don't know how that would go. So like I said, that was interesting. So going with Nick and Annie, Nick's family's happy for him. I don't know if anybody else is paying attention to the brother. The brother had a moment where he laughed. It felt like the producers slid that in there to make it seem like he was together. But the rest of the conversation at the table, he was there and he looked like he was staring at Nick. Like, bro, I know you. I don't know what that means. I've said some stuff in the past episode, but size queen. Anyway, so moving on to the next couple, KB and Ed, and we'll probably get to them multiple times in this, but Edmond goes ahead and buys a gift for KB, and that gift is some rollerblades. And I thought it was a sweet moment, a wholesome moment, because again, we got a chance to see the mom and see what that is. And it also just really makes it concrete to us that the producers or showrunners completely, I believe, let Edmond down, let KB down, let other people on the show down, the viewers down, because I don't think he's ready for a relationship at this level emotionally. And I just, it is what it is. That's just my opinion. But him getting the skates and his excitement to get the box and know that it's there, and that's something special to give someone your hobby and try to put that in their perspective. Or I just thought that was an awesome moment. I thought KB was awesome for being like, hey, jumping on in. And that's like telling your loved one to play this video game or go check out this movie or do crossword puzzles or whatever, hit the gym, just stuff like that is pretty cool to work together as a team and then just enjoy each other's passions. But also, my goodness, respectfully, I need to say that respectfully, KB, wow. That's all I'll say respectfully. Wow. Like that scene, the producers knew what they were doing. Yes, the skates were on. Anyways, I disregard that part of my notes right there. KB tells Edmond on a few occasions, maybe 2, that's day and that's night. No, I'm joking. On 2 prior occasions, don't compare. Don't compare. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't compare. But you can see that that's a conflict that he is dealing with having the ability emotionally to make better choices in those moments. And we'll see that pop up again later on. I want to get into it now, but now I'll go into it later. So you had that. So we had Joe, we had Madison. Joe I don't think Joe wants to be like, I even went back to when they first did the reveal. Joe pushed off like not 1, not 2, but like 3 times. 4 if you count when he's in the room where they're talking to the camera and he's like, wow, like it wasn't like, wow, like I just tied the knot. It was like, this is real. I just got into this stuff. And so it's interesting. I did say in the last episode that something like Joe is probably really more into Madison now that the family met Madison, and Madison has a great personality and looks good and everything like that. So the family's like, man, this is everything we wanted. I don't know if that's going to be enough for Joe, who keeps showing who he really is as a person. So I don't know if he wants to end this and he kind of does it himself or whatnot. But the red flags are there. I don't understand how Madison is still there. I do. I think I have an opinion. My opinion is um no, I'm not gonna say it. Anywho, so as we continue the episode, they bring everybody to like the saloon, um kind of get together, country theme type of thing. And when they do, you're getting to see some interesting stuff. So the first thing that kind of leads into this about to hit the fan is Ellie and Toney, who have I've seen multiple cracks in their situation as the last few episodes. Um, they're constantly starting shit. And they're trying to play this game as if it is a game. And yeah, love is a game for some people. But what I mean by that is Toney, remember, he's the one that whispered to Edmond, and that set Edmond up for a bad night. Um, then Tony's girlfriend whispers in the ear of Anna, and then Anna and Toney have a situation from that. So it's just very interesting how that's kind of happening, how that's playing out. And then now they're sitting there talking like, "Hey, what's gonna go on? Are we gonna flirt?" And I'm not your mom. Like you could see that there's something happening, and I feel like um, Tony's in for something. Also, Tony's blind, respectfully, because if you go back to that first episode for the reveal, in my opinion, Tony's like squinting. And if you ever notice, whenever he has control and he's not caring about his image, he wears his glasses. So I don't know why he doesn't wear his glasses all the time. I feel like he's trying to be either cool or something. They're on his head. Just wear your fucking glasses so you can see, man. So you can fucking see. Um, Patrick. So what ends up happening is they bring out the couples that we know of. And then at some point they bring out the couples that left the show for whatever reason, which was really fucked up on the part again of the producers, not necessarily because their job is to get us to watch and conversate. And here we are. I'm talking about a show I never watched after the first 8 seasons, but who am I to say anything? So Patrick shows up and Patrick is talking about being ghosted, and he's being very open about it hurt and what he would have wanted the situation and how it played out. And he hasn't started drinking yet. um I personally thought it was a little much. I started feeling really bad for him, other than what I think we all collectively believe, that Patrick was a somewhat decent guy. um and then he talked about that Casey kept the ring and said, "I can't give the ring back. I'm hurting too." I was like, Netflix, get on the fucking phone with the legal department. Give me back my ring. Like, you guys have proof and evidence that this would have never went anywhere else. But that's a different conversation for another day. To continue about the Casey thing, a conversation had came up on social media of like, it was what's his name? It was Patrick and Casey talking, and Casey started talking about some sex stuff. Like, she started kind of dipping into it, and then she went further into it, and it was awkward. It was uncomfortable for all of us watching. I don't think anybody was like, "Hey, this is what I'm talking about." So at some point, what ends up happening is Patrick starts adjusting himself in the land down under, and while doing that, viewers noticed it. Now, I noticed once or twice, but I didn't think anything of it. We see it in, movies or whatever. Someone's trying to adjust their clothing, whatever the case was. But the video I saw before made it seem like, yo, he might have been like, not saying he's gonna drop the kids off at the pool, but there was, obviously he's thinking about something. But I mean, I'm not condoning if that was what was happening, but I'm just going back and watching it. I'm like, we don't know if anybody else is doing that same thing. The editors could have edited that out. They put that in there for a reason and left it, maybe hoping somebody was going to catch it the night of, and that they're now catching it now. But it wasn't more awkward than listening to Casey say what she said and watch her do what she did. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but I'm just saying they were in the privacy of XYZ. A lot of conversation came up where it was sexual, and if I had to pick 4 or 5 people who said things that were weirdly sexual, it would have been Casey, it would have been Anna, who left the show. It would have been Mike. Mike said, remember, he made the line about the diabetes for kids. Then he said something like, "Oh well, Yeah, I know diabetes for kids, but we're gonna have some healthy kids and diets and da da da. Mind you, Sparkles was like, I'm all in. And then he said, some sexy kids too. And they let that shit fly. But whatever, whatever. Um, so that was something that was interesting. Now Nick is there, and it seems that no one likes Nick. At least that's how it's cut, especially Joe. But apparently, no one likes Nick. So I want to say Nick and Brendan are tag teaming against Nick the whole time. So Joe and Brendan are tag team against Nick, just in case I said it the wrong way. Um, Nick talks to Kate, and Nick is still lying. He has a really good job of, again, he's a salesperson, but also with the emotional intelligence. He's saying the right things, but the same things I was saying early on, which is Nick seems fake and he seems like it's scripted and he seems like he's thinking it like it's an interview and stuff like that. The other ones are mentioning the exact same thing. Now he says, I loved you. And she says, well, but you love both of us. How do you tell us both you loved us? We've talked. We're cool. I'm also cool with some other people in here. You said that you love both. You would marry both. You can't. That's not how this works. Having feelings for multiple people is fine, which I agree, because there was other people that said, hey, look, you're my top three. Hey, you're XYZ. But he kept telling people you're number one. So he was kind of in some stuff. Mike showing exactly who he is. And I said it before, like just the mannerisms and the stuff that he did. He's sitting there and he said, hey, can I take your girl? Can I take Meghan? He said some kind of phrase, and then he asked her to dance. Mind you, you're here with the people who are already engaged. You know how this game works. And you ask her, can you dance? Nobody else is dancing, which means they would have been the only people on the dance floor dancing. Okay. So they sit and talk, and some of these talking sessions didn't make sense, because I don't know if the producers told them they were obligated to do this stuff after drinking so many shots. I don't know how this works. But at some point, what I noticed was the whole conversation we're having just wasn't right. Like my rule of thumb a lot of times, I try to be a good person, work hard, and do to others what you want done to you. You would never want your significant other to sit there and have a conversation about, are you happy? Do you want to be married? You sure you want to be married? I thought about DMing you. What if things were differently? Like, I bought a ring for you. He's going through all these things. But I mean, he wouldn't say it in front of Jordan. At least I don't think he would. And then I expected Meghan to walk away, honestly. Like, I get you need to talk about some certain things, but I feel like at some point, there's a line that's crossed. That's just, I don't know, that's just me. Brendan is still lying. It seems like, again, that ego, and he didn't do anything wrong and nobody was there for him, and he's just that guy. And watching, almost like high school, watching Brendan and Joe just go at Nick, be like, hey Nick, there goes Kate. Hey Kate, have you met my friend Nick? Just doing on purpose. When at some point, when Nick talked to Kate, Joe and them were quick to be like instigating with Annie to be like, hey, he's talking to this person. He said he loved her too. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, it's just as messy as a Tyler Perry movie or a television show. What else? So you have Anna and Patrick. That was the probably one of the toughest moments to watch, because Anna, in my opinion, shaking my damn head, she's gaslighting Patrick, because Patrick is like, man, he says it to her when she's standing there. And like I said, I don't know if he was drinking or this just his personality, but it was awkward in a way, because it was like, I don't know. I don't know if I would have taken. I've already taken a fucking L on television. Not to mention, they're saying that this show was done 2 years ago, and that's the cycle. 2 years, an episode comes out, but they're already working on the next 2 episodes while they're doing it. So I've had to eat this. Then it come back up and go social, and I'm gonna come out here and tell people, and then see her and say, "Oh, we were the best. We're gonna do this together, and this was gonna be awesome." And so anyway, so they sit down and they talk. And she proceeds to gaslight him by saying something along the lines of, when I left because I had some things to take care of. Now, mind you, I said she has somebody else, 100%. Like, other people are talking about, well, she didn't want to date somebody who was Asian as well. She preferred dating somebody who's white because they both had that preference. That's what they were dating. I can't speak to that. The only thing I can say is there was something else. It doesn't matter if she internally, some people are like, oh, she didn't like who she was as a person. She didn't want to get out there and think she was attractive. I think she's attractive. I think she carried herself well on the show. I think she had nice fashion. Even when she showed up for this episode, you can clearly see she had spent time to present herself, and there's a confidence there. So I don't understand the she didn't think she was pretty enough to be revealed. But clearly there was something going on. This whole show, something's going on. Everybody is trying to, majority of everybody feels like it seems like they're trying to get their 15 minute of fame. So Anna goes and says, well, I found out that you're gonna, as soon as I left, you went for somebody else. You can't tell two people that you love them. You can't say that we were gonna be together and then you go ahead. What? How the fuck does that make sense? If you us watching the show and you're assuming the conversations were deep enough, Pat was completely focused on walking out of there with somebody. He wanted, and I felt maybe needed someone in his life, and he was going to walk out with someone. Everybody knew that him and Casey were not a good match. Casey outed him and his background, which I heard happened in the UK version of this show. I don't know how the producers allow it to happen on any show. It's called Love is Blind. And he settled. He settled when there was stuff that we all saw that was wrong for KC, and he just didn't see it. He wanted it to work so bad. And how do you not see that? How do you not understand that? Even without being able to see behind the scenes or what we were, given as far as editing. Annie's switching to another person. Annie's hair. She's a hairdresser. I thought I was the only one that saw it. I didn't want to mention it on past episode, but she's a hair salon owner, stylist, and her hair is a hot mess. At times it looks like it's two wigs, or it's not put together, or she's a single mom who works two jobs, who loves the kids and never stops. She looks like she's a survivor. I'll tell you that much. So it was interesting to see her in that light when there's a lot of beautiful hairs all over. And, anyway, so Joe later on cuts a WWE All Elite Wrestling promo against Nick. Joe does what he normally does, other than lying about having a PlayStation 5 when that was a PlayStation 4 in his bachelor pad that showed to me he wasn't ready for the next level. But he talks negative about Nick, doesn't like Nick's hat. It was a cowboy hat. I don't think they bought these hats. I think they stopped in the green room and they gave people stuff. And that's it. Some people shopped and got some stuff for the theme, but I think the producers gave out gifts because Edmond's hat was way too small, and Nick I thought was a little small, but it wasn't as small as the other one. So you're laughing at this guy, but not this guy. It just means you don't fucking like this guy. Another thing that Joe doesn't do is Joe doesn't look you in the eye when he tells you something of significance. At least I haven't seen it. Even while he's shooting this promo about how he dislikes the guy Nick and hinting at other things, he doesn't look at the person who asked him the question in the corner of the screen. He's looking elsewhere, and then a little bit, and then elsewhere. So whatever that. And he admits that he's drinking and he had a bad situation from that. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I think that's it. I think I tied it all together. Oh, the last part would have been at some point Nick is sitting there with Annie, and they do get upset, and at some point Annie's really pissed that Nick may be lying. And I feel like I don't understand if Annie's like, hey, I really want to be with this person, and I understand she's probably pissed because she's finding out that he said I love you to somebody else, and Annie's trying to get that validation that he does love her and that he is going to do what's needed to be done for the relationship. But at some point says, Nick, you're perfect. I think a lot of us understood what was being said and how that was going, except for Edmond. Edmond basically puts himself in a situation by saying something along the lines of, wow, she thinks that you're perfect, or I think of all the couples, you guys are probably the most perfect. And it's not the first time he's done this. And so, his fiance comes over, KB, and says, hey, wait, what'd you say? And Nick tries to save him. Again, as much as I say that Nick is fake or hiding something, he's too well thought out. It's kind of like watching WWE wrestling. It's too overproduced versus looking at some of the other wrestling or older wrestling where there's mistakes and certain things and it kind of made it organic, right? And but Nick does a really good job, whether as a salesman or his emotional intelligence is up there, whether even if it's blocking some trauma that we don't know about. But he knew exactly what it was, almost like you're a sibling getting in trouble and you're just trying to defend them. So he says, "Hey, Edmond, no, he meant this," and we're talking about, and she goes, "No, I heard what it was said. What was meant?" Edmond doesn't understand what's being said. He walks back into it. Now he understands he's stepping on a landmine because he stops. He doesn't talk, which allows Nick to defend for him. But KB's like, no. And you can see her tone. She's straight up looking at Edmund, but she does not look at anybody else. And they realize don't get involved. Now, other than Patrick awkwardly coming over to smell and double check a drink before he heads back, everybody kind of moves away from the area and leaves. Now you still see Toney and Ellie looking around like, they're having some issues. And some other ones, like I think Joe did the same thing, or Brendan. But other than that, everybody clears out. And so she kind of says, "Hey, like, I don't understand what's the problem." And he kind of chalks it up to, "Well, I'm just saying you never give me a compliment." And she was like, "Wait, you say I don't give you a I was like, "Man, I can't believe this. If there's anybody who's giving the most compliments to someone, it is her." I've said on past episodes the affirmations, and she's speaking into him, my king, and this, and I love to hear your voice, even after he cries in the sessions. Like this is something. So she's like, "Why would you say that? I just said XYZ a compliment yesterday, last night. Also, this is a private conversation. Why we?" And I'm like, wow. So that became its own thing. He didn't know what to do with that. They go and talk. And she's saying, "Stop saying I love you." Because when he's in trouble, or at least that's how it looks. And there was another issue. We didn't get a chance to see the other issue that happened the night before. They mentioned it, but we didn't see it. And basically, like, "Hey, if there's an issue, let's talk about it privately, not here." But at the same time, she keeps telling him, "Don't say how you love me and you're for me. I don't want to hear that. That's nice on a nice day. I want you to tell me solutions to the problem that I just presented to you." And he could not give anything. He was basically telling her, "You need to walk away, you need to walk." Why does she need to walk away? Are you going to lose your shit? And so she was like, "No, you need to walk away." So he walks away and he goes, I think he says, I'm not gonna say the D word, but he goes, I'm in trouble, basically. And so all the guys realize it, and they knew it. And then they're telling him, because I think they understand it too. Most people understand where his level of emotional intelligence is, and sometimes his decision making. Again, you're talking about a guy who said he eats boogers. Um, he was kissing the floor, spinning, and Naruto run with the DJ, like ready, set, go in the room. Like everybody kind of knows it. So I think it was Jordan who said, "Hey, listen, you need to accept that accountability." He's telling him what emotion or how you should handle this problem. Start off with, "Sorry, accountability, go talk to her." Now, I mean, Joe could have taken that same lesson for the conversation with Madison, but that's a different conversation. We've already done that one. So anyway, he just goes over there, and when he gets there, or before he can get there, she leaves and goes in the back, takes a moment. I think she was crying. And then when she comes back out, he's standing to meet her, and she walks her by him and says, "Hey, don't talk to me." And she goes back and she has a good night and she enjoys herself. And we'll see what happens on the next 2 or 3 episodes. But I think they're still going to progress with this. I don't know if they're going to say "I do," but I don't think the experiment for these two, Edmund and KB, stops, because I feel like Edmund's going to go with this until the wheels fall off. KB has to be the one to say she's done. That's the only way I see it happening. I think KB is okay with it being a project, or being not a substitute for his mom, but being that person that he needs to rely on. I don't know. But after the mom mentioned the social media account, everybody's looked at in her social media account, Go Knowles. She's from Florida State, FAMU, Rattlers. So, I get what the mom was looking at for her social media account and even some of the other ones, but man, whew, what an episode. 30 minutes later. Don't even think the editors are just going to go ahead and chop this up. Wink. So again, you could have been anywhere and you chose to be here, and I appreciate that. Um, Can't wait for episode 10. I don't this was a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and rate this. Normally we rate it, so I'm gonna go ahead and rate it. We rate here from a 0 to 5, with 5 being the best, 0 is horrible. This, for the most part, they've had some up and down episodes, at least my opinion. Put in the comments what you think this episode gave you. I'm gonna say this episode was a 5. It hit all the bars. It reignited a bunch of stuff. Everybody's getting a landmine. If they didn't get a landmine, there was the conversation that it could transpire later. Now, Blake did not show up. So it told me that not everybody had to show up and put their face out here. They could have moved on to what they were going to do. And so I think it's just going to be somewhat interesting. And I feel like nobody came out of this, for the most part. Nobody came out of this reunion clean. And I think it's cool because if everything is sped up and more intense in this process, it is common for you to meet your ex or talk about your ex or your love life of your past with your significant other throughout your relationship. So, yeah, could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to be here. Until next time, look a loud.